Welcome back as we jump right into a very important and really interesting conversation this morning. For many people, cultural perspectives play a significant role in shaping their approach to parenting duties, or at least it should be part of that conversation. And we're joined in studio now by registered counsellor Sadia Southgate to break down how we are influenced by society, because this plays out in a number of ways. Sadia, great to have you back. Really interesting one. Difficult not to be triggered by this kind of conversation because we all have our own cultural baggage coming into something like this. Would you say that these cultural norms, these ideas, place too much pressure on fathers, on mothers, on what their roles should be, and don't allow us to take that first step of deciding what we want our roles to be? It should be a conscious thing. How do you think these cultural norms and kind of the baggage we bring into relationships weigh out there?
Yeah, you know, it's the idea that the culture influences different behaviors of what is appropriate and not appropriate for both men and women. So typically it's seen that women are the ones that are more, navigating through everything. They are the ones that's more nurturing, whereas men are more strong and bold, so it's those different dynamics that we see. But we also understand that when it does come, to the influences on mothers, is that they are seen as the ones that, are at home with the kids, whereas dads are the ones that are more career-driven and goal-driven. So both these influences have a negative and a positive impact on the family as a whole.
We're oversimplifying something that is quite complex. Parenting is such a fine, detailed, nuanced journey. Are we not shooting ourselves in the foot, certainly from a father's perspective? Let's start there. Are we not denying fathers the best part of life by taking them out of that beautiful, intimate, nurturing phase of the parenting, or at least saying that that's not their responsibility? They can be present, but it's not their job.
Yeah.
I mean, surely we are missing a beat for the fathers.
Yes, exactly. And as you're saying, we are missing the beat for that, because family, is seen as a whole, not just as a mother taking care of the kids or just nurturing the kids, And we understand that fathers actually play a very huge role in developing and growing the kids as well. They, for example, form part of regulating the rules in the home, the discipline in the home. So inevitably, that is very important. And for a lot of the time, society kind of just put them on the side, and it's more of a job than actually having to see it as, I get to do with this and this is a privilege.
I mean, it's a constant. I struggle with a lot of these notions because it just feels like the parenting isn't on and off and on and off. It's like you're always parenting, and and you've got to just be transferring those roles. But there are moments where life makes it very difficult for you to step outside of that, because life expects you to work, expects you to have money, expects you to do these sorts of things. When it doesn't feel like you have a choice, where you've got to just get up and do what you've got to do. How do you broach this male-female role within your parenting context or in your family? Does it start with a conversation to say, what I need more of is this? How do you even broach that when you are just surviving?
Yeah, I love the fact that you say, how do we, even just approach it? Do we have a conversation and say, these are the expectations, I'm struggling with this? But the important thing is recognizing, there are some resources that's not available to these parents. So, in many communities where that is evident, we see that there are family members that are taking care of the kids, but then at the same time, the kids are then left to their own devices.
Yeah.
And that then has a ripple effect on the family as a whole. But we also understand, yes, it always comes back, and we do understand even with these navigations is because they don't have access to these resources. But in overall, that kind of is a dynamic when that happens, is that parents aren't able to drop their kids off at school because they need to get to work, they're working long hours. So it's also that responsibility then gets placed on, the grandparents or the family members, and then that triggers or cause conflict within the responsibility and just the perspective that parents have in their home.
All this seems to say to me we need to start from a place of open communication, and that needs to become the pattern. How do we start that conversation if that's what it needs to look like? Does it come from what I need? It's how I feel I can help you as the mother, as the father. How do we get the right language to be able to have this when desperation is probably going to be the dominant feeling within our family?
Yeah, it's communicating. Communicating our expectations and communicating our needs, which is very important. A lot of the time we're just surviving instead of thriving.
Yeah.
So when we're communicating these needs, we're entering into that thriving stage and navigating through that. But I think for today, you know, in life, we want to have that joint responsibility. For example, instead of, you know, dad working, when mom is, for example, at work, dad is at home, he's cooking, he's bathing the kids, and he's taking care of the chores at home. And mom then disciplines when dad isn't there, because those roles are often, you know, different. And it's more of dad being the one that disciplines instead of mom. So we wait for dad to come home to discipline the child. But now we can actually just be okay communicating and expecting that it's okay to have joint responsibilities in the home.
And it has to be, and I think you've got to stop looking at these things like a list that needs to be ticked off and fulfilled, but look at the outcome that you're going for. You're wanting your child to be emotionally involved, you're wanting to feel supported, and I think as much as you feel like your work should dominate, maybe it's that 5 hours that you get with your child on a Saturday that refills your cup, that lets you work these ridiculously long hours, and vice versa. You need to unplug as a parent to get perspective. If you're a mom with your child all day, every day, you need to unplug. So we need this balance. What does that look like for you? We'd love to hear from you. 063 408 8863. Let us know how those gender roles are shifting within your family.